many of you heard of Denmark Vesey?
Yes.
Denmark Vesey was an incredible individual. He won his freedom by playing the lottery. And 1799, right when Haiti was fighting for its freedom. He won the lottery, bought himself out of slavery, but he kept his master's name, which was Vesey. He was the captain of a slave ship. In 1822, he planned the rebellion of over 5,000 people. But somebody in the group told on him. They snitched on him. And so 34 of them got hung. Denmark Vesey and Harriet Tubman, Richard Allen, they were all the major figures during that period of time. Absalom Jones. They all took their cues from Haiti, because Haiti was the first in this region to earn or win or take their freedom from the French. Denmark Vesey spoke 3 languages and about 5 different African languages as well, because he was on that ship with his master going back and forth. The ruling body during that period of time, and well, I'll tell you this. My I call him my Caucasian grandfather came over here in 1680, and he was the sheriff from Edisto Island to Red Top, where the Total Rebellion was. The ruling body for this area, Charleston included, was actually the English church. And they were the ones that governed all slave activities in the area. So you could thank the church. You could thank the church. And that not only happened here, but it also happened in the West, in West Africa as well. The church was condoning and governing the slave trade. Much of the slaves came from Angola, which is where the person who started the Stone Rebellion was from, called Manny. And I'll tell you about that in a little bit. We're coming into West Ashley now. And when I was younger, most of this area, West Ashley, was kind of brown. But with gentrification, a lot of that's changed now. The area was mostly settled by slaves after they got in 1865. You had several towns in the area that were settled by slaves, and they had their own commerce, stores. And when in 65, most of those in 1965, most of those stores kind of closed up. Martin Luther King was fighting for our rights, but he kind of thought he was fighting for us to be West Ashley area. South Carolina and Charleston is saturated with AME churches. Richard Allen was the Martin Luther King of his day. I think he did a whole lot more, because right now there are 600 and some odd churches, AME churches in South Carolina alone. South Carolina has more AME churches than anywhere else in the country. Emmanuel Church is the offshoot of the church that Denmark Vesey started. They went underground after Vesey died, or after they killed him, and that church developed into Emmanuel years later. Yeah, that's it, Bethel. That's it, Bethel. My mother Emmanuel. Yeah, Mother Bethel is Philadelphia, and then you have Mother Emmanuel here. The AME Church is the African Methodist Episcopal Church. You have the AME, which is African Methodist Episcopal, and then you have the AME Zion, and that was Absalom Jones, was the AME Zion. Richard Allen was the AME. They were comrades for a time, and they separated when they started their individual enterprises. Down in West Ashley proper. When the settlers came here, there was a nation of Indian tribes. And I'm sure some of you heard of Kiowa Island. That's where the Kiowa Indians were. Edisto Island was where the Edisto Indians were. Bohicket, Stono, Wando, Kosa, Wapu, Kasabo, and Catawbas, all a part of that nation. When we first started coming here, the slave population was primarily Indian women and African men. So all of y'all got a little bit of that Indian in you. Charleston Port was where 40% of all the slaves that came to the United States came to. The other 30% came through Savannah. The United States only received a small portion of the slave trade. It's only about 4 to 6% of the slaves that came out of Africa came here. The bulk of them went to the Caribbean and South America, and even Mexico. But because Mexico mingled with the slaves, you don't find those large black communities in Mexico that you find in the United States.
Critters over in there. Right. They, at least initially, they were like really serious.
That's a kind of farmers co-op. That's where they do a lot of research on soil. If you have an area where you wanted to get your stuff tested, bring your soil here. Size. Yeah. Most of this is all brown at one time or another. Right after the Civil War, when Tecumseh Sherman came through here, he handed all of the land over to the slaves. From St. James River in Florida all the way up to North Carolina. From the ocean, 30 miles inland, it was supposed to be just us, or just slaves. But after the war, they killed Lincoln. When that passed, they passed that in 1865, when Tecumseh Sherman came through and passed 40 acres and a mule. That was January 5th, 1865. And Abraham Lincoln, they shot him in April 14th, the same year. And in September that year, Johnson, who was Lincoln's vice president and Southern sympathizer, took it all back. This area was supposed to be a part of the 13th Amendment, which Lincoln put in there, but they took it out of it. But when you come down here, most of the people, most people own land out past this area. When you find communities, they own their own land. People aren't renting. You know, like when I was in the city, everybody was renting. People own their land out here. Yes, this is the low country, and it's kind of low. You see all that water? This what we're coming up to now is a main road going to John's Island. John's Island, Guatemala Island, another Indian name. Once we pass this light, we'll be in Red Top. And Red Top was a settlement or a black town altogether at one point in time. They bought the land from the guys who were their slave owners and created their own town. When you see George's chicken and Kentucky fried chicken, you know you're in Red Top. They sit right next to each other. when I was younger. I'm still young. Right. When I was younger, and there was a bus that came. Everybody worked at the shipyard, so people had buses that they ran from Edisto to the shipyard. And one of the ladies was named Edna Washington, and she's about close to 100 right now. She's still here with us. This is Red Popper. Right now we're coming up on Stono Creek, named after the Stono Indians. You have two waterways here. When we get to the second waterway, you're gonna look to your left, right after you cross it, and you'll see like a little motel / visitor center. That is where the warehouse where the Stono Rebellion started. Manny or Cato, depending on who you talk to, was a slave from Angola. They brought him over here, and then later on, they brought 20 of his soldiers. And when they got here, they went to war. They went to that, you can see it from here, that building over there. They went there and took all of the guns and put down the two people that was running the store, and he left going towards Savannah and Florida. The Spanish and the English were at odds with each other because the Spanish were here before the English came, and they kind of still wanted the whole territory. So they told the slaves here that if they ran away, they could come to Florida. They would give them land. They were just messing with the English. So that's what these guys were doing. They were headed to Florida, and they got stopped. There's two gentlemen coming from Granville County, and they stopped them on the way. Well, they ran. They went to Charleston to get a militia and came back after them. And they killed 60 of them, and the other 40, they sent the Chickasaw Indians in the bushes to get them. This is where the store was. When I was coming up, the guy right there, his name is Peter Miller. He one day it was like it was a piccolo joint, a store piccolo joint. If we were to go down 162, if we're not gonna go down there. That is where the Revolutionary Stono battle happened. The British came to Charleston and they ran them out of Charleston, and they were headed down to Savannah, and they left their rear guard. And Benjamin Lincoln followed them and got down there and was about to rout them, but then their main battalion turned around and helped them to push the settlers back. We're in Ravenel right now. The comes from one of the prominent families that was here during slavery. There was a plantation of the same name. We were going to go on a walk at Corcor Reserve, which is where much of the rice paddies were during that time. I think we're going to still go in there, but it's raining, so I don't know if you guys want to walk in the rain. Hope y'all not scared of woods. I was supposed to be going down to the interpretive center.
they were down for tourism, right? Or somewhere different. Wasn't related to it was on the bus trip from Florida.
I have a question, Mr. Benjamin.
Got a question back here.
That's all right.
That's why I said, where do they work? I don't want to interfere. If I stand up,
Go ahead.
That were used during that period of time, and I wanted you to see that. And yeah, yes, we are. It's just yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, if you want to walk, you can go to the raised patios.
we do. We
Yeah,
want
you
to walk.
can. You got one over here.
We got people that want to make the
Does
walk,
anyone want to do
Benjamin.
that?
Yes.
Yes.
Victoria was saying she wanted to. Yeah, that's why we came in.
Yeah.
Okay, friends, so yes, there is a building up here that we can kind of take a look at a couple of things. And I think there is a restroom in there for people who want to go, from what Mr. Benjamin says. So let's spend about maybe 10, 15 minutes here, maybe?
But I didn't get that out the way. Oh, good.
What's your name?
Benjamin.
Benjamin, you are a tour guide for
Yes,
the
sir.
Gullah Geechee area.
Yes, sir.
How long you been doing this?
I just started. It's actually my first trip.
And so, how do you feel about getting a group like this down here like this? You think this is good for educational?
Yeah, good for educational and good for a cultural experience. So I'm gonna get y'all doing something on that bus spot when I get back on it. Teach y'all the Gullah, the double clap.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Going down in here where the rice paddies are. I think Red Moley might be down in here. Red Moley, Red Moley. Hope I don't get no snakes in that. I'm watching. Snakes, stay where you at. Alligators, all of y'all, stay where you at. I'm venturing down here. My ancestors walked these paths, so I'm coming down here. Swamp sanctuary. Swamp. All kind of grass out here. We had focus not on.
So I guess we're looking at where the right is road. Right there. Come from right now. That was the right.
trying to see if I can see any critters.
That's what she's looking for too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not outside.
Yeah.
They smell sweet and they crawl in there and
Yeah,
then they're
and then they crawl,
digested
yeah.
down.
Really?
Yeah.
Where you from?
Detroit.
Where your people from?
Detroit.
Before that?
Tennessee, Arkansas, and I don't know for certain, but I think Nigeria as well.
You think?
But I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Have you done any of your ancestry?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I gotta do that.
What's your name again? Sir?
Benjamin.
Benjamin. So Benjamin, all of this would have been the
Yeah.
rice paddies?
Yeah, all the way back to
All
them
the way
trees
back.
over there, and probably a little further than that.
So it's all overgrown though
Yeah.
now. So, okay. So what do people come out here to look at it for if there's no rice paddies?
They come
I'm
up.
sorry, but
What's done this way?
I don't know. I'm from Louisiana.
Oh,
you
yeah?
know, yeah.
Y'all still growing?
No, sugarcane. My people did sugarcane. My daddy was family.
I see a bird. There's some birds down here.
How far did you go?
I went all the way to the end of the
Okay.
world walk.
You got it, baby boy.
Yeah.
As long as you got that history, I'm buy your history book.
Gotta be a real soldier to get lost out here. Yeah. Yep.
I know, I follow you.
Yep.
Anybody in there? I'm not sure. I wasn't in line, so no man,
Does the military do any training out here at all?
Did you say you had any on?
I've got them. There we go. There go that snake. I know it. I knew they had him. Cottonmouth. I knew there was snakes out there. They're probably hiding from the rain. There's those birds. That's what they got out here. Bald eagle, red-headed woodpecker, pileated woodpecker, American alligator. I knew it was gators out there too. Cardinal, cottonmouth snake, and the yellow-belly slider. Look at that gator. I knew they had them. Our ancestors probably got ate by some of them gators and stuff out here.
And turn it on, and then if you guys, let's ask some questions for Benjamin. That might help us. So who's got questions about where we just left? Go ahead, Q.
Got some questions?
Q says that the young lady at the place we just left said that there was a fire about a year ago, and she was wondering, she didn't say how. Do you know anything about the fire?
No, I don't know too much about the fire, but they're renovating now. They're just about done, but unfortunately they weren't done today. But I'm not sure exactly how the fire started.
Here you go. Here you go, here you go.
So tell us about the caw-caw, the name of
Here's
the
the
place.
mic.
There's a couple of theories. One is that it was the sound of the crows, and then there's another theory that it was that it came across the water with the slaves. That it came across the water with the slaves, and it's in some of the languages that they talked about, it just meant that water.
So the question that I have, right there. Who actually is in charge of this land?
Use the mic.
It's not working.
Oh, shoot.
This area is being managed by the county. Unlike another stop that we were supposed to make, which is being managed by the federal government, the Ace Basin, they're closed because of the shutdown.
Because of the what?
So in order for that mic to work, we have to turn this one off. So instead of having to keep going back and forth, can you guys just shout your questions? Raise your hand and shout your questions. Is that okay?
And then repeat them up there, please.
And then repeat it when you hear it.
Repeat the question.
You repeat.
When there's a question, repeat.
Him say he need for long yell. They said you need to speak very loud when you say anything.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Did our ancestors was this an escape route for them? Were they escaping through here? Because alligators, snakes, and all the things. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, if they did, they just ate the alligators. This was plantations, rice plantations. So if they were going to be running, they were going to be running away from here, not into here. When the folks came, when the Student Rebellion happened, they came through here and they burned everything. And it was like 30-something white folks that died in that exchange. And they were trying to get as many of the slaves off of the plantations as they could in their trying to get to Florida. Well, they were trying to get to Florida because Florida and the English, the Spanish and the English were at odds with one another. The Spanish were here first, the Huguenots on Edisto Island. And what they were doing when they went anywhere, any of those people, they would subjugate the people that were there. But the Indians here were resistant and they wouldn't allow themselves to be subjugated. So they had nothing to eat. So they had to leave. They had to go somewhere else. And they went down to Florida and started, guess what? The oldest city in the country. St. Augustine. Yeah, they left here and went there to start St. Augustine. Or what was the other? Oh, yeah.
Tell us about the next destination we're going to.
The next destination is my niece's CBD farm. Huh? Yeah, we're gonna eat there, and you'll see Lenegichi food. I hope you like it. Yeah. Anyone else? Nobody has a question? Yeah. And some other kind of rice too. I'll talk to you about the food once you get there.
Anything else about the region that we're driving through right now?
Again, this is Ravenel proper, and most all of these areas were parts of plantations. When I started studying, I couldn't imagine this. They had plantations like you have department stores. They were everywhere. Everybody had 9 slaves, or depending on which plantations you were on. Like Drayton Plantation had 2,500. The plantation that my grandfather was born on was 1,500 slaves on the Edisto plantation. So South Carolina had the largest plantations in the country. When the war was over, there was 75 black people in South Carolina to every 25 white. Yeah, because the slave population was that large in this area. South Carolina, the entirety of South Carolina was 66%. The only place that was larger than that was Mississippi, I think. Okay. One of the stops after this that we're going to go to, because we can't go to Grove Plantation, is a school. The area had 14 one-room schoolhouses for black children and 10 for white children. Of course, the black schools were jam-packed to the hilt. And as it stands now, out of all 14, there's only one left standing. And somebody bought it, and that's their home. So we're going to go past by that. They didn't change the outside of the building. They just, had it remarked on the inside. None that I know of.
The question is, how many of the white schools are still left standing?
She wanted to know how many of the white schools that are still left standing, but none that I know of.
I know that the weather is a factor. I'm going to get to walk around some of the places here. I'm going to get a chance to walk around and do some of the places.
After we leave, she wants to know if we were going to get to walk around. I think that was the main walk around right there, and Grove Plantation would have been the other walk around. And the other places, the last one is Hutchinson House, where which was owned by a black family right after slavery, and that's the only house of its kind that's still standing. They're renovating it now. You can't go inside, but you can see it from the outside, and they got places to park for that. Yeah. No, not because of the weather, because they're shut down for the
The plantation, can you drive through the area even if it's shut down?
No, we can drive down that road, but you can't go but so far because they have a gate there. You know. The black schools, the question was about the black schools. What happened was, Booker T. Washington met a guy named Julius Rosenwald in 1910, and they were at some conference together. And Booker T. Washington was building Tuskegee at the time, but he was building a college, but the communities didn't have children that were going to be ready to go to those schools. So Julius Rosenwald gave him some money to build some schools down in Alabama. So he did that, and let's see, 5 years later he passed away. So there was no one doing it. So Julius Rosenwald was the president of Sears at the time. After Booker T. Washington died, he took the program in 1917. And between 1917 and 1930, they built 5,000 schools between in the 16 Confederate states, because they weren't building any schools for us. Him and the community. What he would do would go to the community and say, I'll give you half of what you need for the school. You provide the land, and you provide the other half of it, and that's what they did. So primarily we did it ourselves, but he helped. He was a huge encouragement. So that's how the road. They called it. If you go online now, you can look up the Rosenwald Schools.
So the question was, actually part 2 was, who was doing the teaching in those schools?
Well, that was when you had Fisk, you had the students coming out of there, you had students coming out of Voorhees, Claflin, you know, those were the teachers were coming out of those schools at the time. So you had enough people coming out of those schools to go to the elementary schools to teach. And that was the emphasis for Booker T. Washington, was to send people back to the communities to teach in their schools. Any more? All right.
We'll be at the next stop in a few minutes, so just chillax for a little bit, and we'll see you in a little.
But they bought it up, and it's like 25,000 acres, and they're putting 5,000 houses here on both sides of the road. Corporate entities. slave trade was over, after the slave trade was ended in 1807, most of the plantations were growing cotton. That was the huge industry at that point in time. But there were many that were still get ready. Swing by. Let's swing by.
This is a restaurant where I'm eating at.
And the Legrons is a French name, which we were, where the French had owned, where they sold the Louisiana Purchase to the United States for $1 million. So that's where a lot of my relatives, my family come from, Louisiana. So my cousins in California put out a flyer on the internet on having a Legron family reunion. When we got there, about 50 white people showed up. They came to our reunion. And so we walked up there, my uncles and aunts, they were all mad, and they wanted to know, what are you guys doing here? And guess what? They said that they were the original Legrons. Wow. And you know why? Because they were the slave owners. Yeah. They were the descendants from the people that owned all that. So that changed everything, and we got together. My son is the only one that really keep in touch with a lot of them. So you talking about a bunch of people hugging and kissing each other, I never kissed so many white folks in my life. Because they were the original Legrons, because coming over from Africa, we couldn't keep our African names. We had to take on, just like animals, we had to take on the name of the master. And our master were Legrons. And a lot of those relatives were there. So whether we were related to them or not, but I know one of them, had to with one of my relatives. So we could have been related and we could not. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Out of all the races in the world, we are basically blended in from every culture on the planet. Everybody got a piece of us.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, friends, they are ready for us to enter into the building. So this is it. Yeah.
Jump over the table.
Huh?